Good evening, friends and fans. Welcome back to Cooking with Chief Tony. I just came on a few minutes early so that way we could get started right on time. I'm glad to see that everybody's still out there and supporting. Thank you for your support and your love during this time. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wait a few moments before we get started here so people can catch up with me regardless of your time zone. I'm going to go ahead and, so we are going to be making my homemade meatloaf and my green beans. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're working with today. So we've got a full package of bacon. We got 2 pounds of ground beef. We've got our 2 eggs. We've got some pepper jack cheese. We've got some minced garlic, green beans. We have 2 onions, some salt, pepper, some plain crumbs, breadcrumbs, and that's what we're going to be using today. So I hope everybody's well. Again, I'm just going to start in just a moment. So while we're getting ready to start, I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, and we'll go ahead and get ready to get started. I hope everybody's doing good. Happy Easter for those that celebrate Easter. All right. And again, I hope everybody is well. We'll get started in just a moment. We'll go ahead and go over our ingredients and things that we're going to be using today. So we've got our bacon, we've got our ground beef, we've got 2 eggs. I like Tillamook pepper jack cheese, minced garlic. We've got green beans, 2 onions, we've got some salt and pepper, and we have plain breadcrumbs for our dinner. So our supper tonight is going to be meatloaf, homemade meatloaf, and some green beans. So again, I hope everybody's doing well. It is now 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so we will go ahead and get started. I hope everybody's doing well. Happy Easter for everybody out there. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've already chopped up 2 onions, so I'm already gonna just show you that right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and actually start preparing my meat. So I get a regular mixing bowl, and I'm gonna use about 1 package of bacon. Now you can use low sodium. I use Black Label, the original. I love the smoked apple. So that is one of my favorites, but I just use the plain Black Label bacon. It's good to see you cooking. Thank you, Miss Beverly. I hope you are well. I hope you and Craig are well. So let me go ahead and get my scissors. So you want to go ahead and get some ground beef. This is the pre-packaged stuff. This is just what I got. This is easy for me to get, and it's easy for me to freeze. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I try to buy lean, as lean as possible, 95% lean if they have it. If not, then I go with what I can get the most lean. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my 2 pounds of ground beef into my bowl here. And so I've already kind of started with one in the oven already. So for my ground turkey eaters, you can also use the same recipe. As a matter of fact, I've already got one in the oven with regular bacon, but you can also use turkey bacon. So ground turkey meat with turkey bacon, if that's what you prefer, or none at all. That's going to be entirely up to you. But I love my meatloaf with a little bacon. So this is definitely a carnivore's dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and show you here. We've got our ground beef in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my onions, and I'm going to take just a handful right at the moment. I'm just going to sprinkle that in there. Do another handful. Okay, and to me, honestly, it really doesn't matter the size of my onions, just for the simple fact it's all going to cook down anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that in there. Then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put in some of my breadcrumbs. Now, my breadcrumbs I don't really measure. I kind of go towards the feel. And again, I use Progresso plain breadcrumbs. I'm kind of cheating. I could make my own, but right at the moment, I don't have any. I haven't made any bread lately. So I'm just going to sprinkle that over there to start with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of salt. Not a whole lot. And I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle pepper. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my garlic. So I'm going to take a good serving spoon of garlic, and I'm going to throw it in here just to add a little extra flavor. So I've got a good serving of minced garlic. I'm going to put that in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the juice, because I want some of the juice as well. So I get as much juice as I can, and I'm going to put that in there as well. I'm just going to go ahead and take that, and I'm just going to use that to put that in there. So what I've done is I've added, and I'll go ahead and show you, I've got my minced garlic, I've got my onions, I put my breadcrumbs, I've put a little salt, I put a little pepper. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and break my eggs, I'll put that in there, and then I'll add a little bit more onions to my liking. So because I'm going to need some onions later on for my actual green beans. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack my eggs, put those bad boys in there. Hope everybody's doing good. Happy Easter. Alright, so I'll rinse my hands real quick. Alright, so now I've got my my meat ready to mix over here, and again I'll show you. So we've got in here, we're doing meatloaf. This is ground beef. We've got 2 pounds in here. We've got some breadcrumbs. We've got onions. We've got minced garlic with the juice, 2 eggs. We've got some salt, pepper, and that's pretty much it as of right now. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just mix this. So this is one of my favorite meals to make. Tonight I'm just going to make green beans with it. But this is, like I said, just one of my favorite meals. I'll make mashed potatoes with it and gravy, make homemade dinner rolls. But for sake of time and effort and everything else, I think I'm just going to go ahead and stick with green beans and meatloaf. So I'll go ahead and show you here in just a moment. So I'm just going to mix this up. And usually I'll do both hands, but just because I'm showing y'all right at the moment, I'm just going to mix with one hand. So I'm mixing in my breadcrumbs, I'm mixing in my eggs. I want to make sure that the egg actually gets absorbed into the meat and it is thoroughly mixed in. I want everything mixed. I don't want any leftover egg in the bowl or anything like that. And because I want the hamburger meat to stick together, because it can have a tendency to fall apart. So I want to make sure that it's nice and mixed. And I'm going to go ahead and turn you around here for just a moment so that way I can dig in. So I'm going to add just a little bit more onions, before another handful of onions, just like that. And I'm going to get in here and I'm just going to dig. I love getting my hands dirty with this because it's a lot of fun. So, all right. Any questions so far? So for my ground turkey eaters, you can make this same recipe using ground turkey. If you don't use ground beef, perfectly fine. I'm just making sure that all of my egg and my breadcrumbs and everything else get mixed in here very well. And it's going to be up to you as to kind of notice if there's too much egg or if it's too wet. If you have mixed all of your ground turkey meat or your ground beef and it still feels like it's just too wet, then you can always add a little bit more breadcrumbs to it. And so I'm actually going to do that now. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit, and I'll show you. Come with me. So I'm just going to sprinkle on the top just a little bit more of what I had going on here. So for those I sprinkled on a little bit earlier, I'm just going to sprinkle on a little bit more. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mix this again, because we want, again, I want it to be very well mixed. And you can put as much onions and as much garlic and stuff like that in there as you want. I like a lot of onions because it gives a lot of flavor, and I think I love onions. So now what I'm doing is I'm actually just kind of turning it around like regular dough, like you would have for bread. So I'm just kind of rolling it around a little bit just to kind of solidify it just a little bit more while mixing it. So I'm literally kneading it like dough. So here, I'll show you. So, and as much as I can do one-handed. So just kind of rolling it around here, just kind of getting it in. So that's pretty much it for mixing of my hamburger meat. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my hands real quick, just because I don't want to get a mess all over the place. I'm going to go ahead and set my hamburger meat off to the side just for a moment. Okay, because now I get to play with the bacon. So, and again, for those that know me well, I love bacon. And I used to try and use it as much as I can. Not as much anymore, but, you know. So you're going to probably use about 3/4 of your bacon here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my package of bacon, so again, my Black Label bacon, and I'm going to line my container, my glass pan, and I'm going to line it with bacon. So I'm going to go ahead and just take it out. I'm going to take these strips and I'm going to just let them loose a little bit. And I'm just going to just layer it down like that. You want to make sure you're using one strip at a time. So, and you want to make sure that you're fitting it into the pan. I'll scoot it down so you can see a little bit better. There, I hope that, yeah, there we go. So, all right, so hopefully you can see. So we've got our bacon, so I've just started layering it with bacon. And I'm overlapping just a little bit so that way I get all of the hamburger meat, or my meatloaf, completely covered with bacon. Okay, so now that I've gotten that done that way, I'm going to go ahead and do the opposite, or go lengthwise. And it's not going to go completely up over the sides of the dish, and that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to. This is just to help kind of ease that in a little bit. And I want to get all the space I can, so I need to push down the bacon a little bit. Alright, so now I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what our bacon layer, our bottom layer of our bacon looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and now fill in my meatloaf. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out, and I'm going to kind of flatten it out just a little bit because I want to make sure that this gets into the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just layer it. I'm going to smooth it out as much as possible as I start putting it into the pan. And because I'm going to go ahead and fill my meatloaf with pepper jack cheese. So we've got bacon on the bottom layer, we've got meatloaf in the center, and then in the very immediate center we're going to have pepper jack cheese. So I'll show you how I'm going to fill that up in just a moment. So I'm kind of just smashing this down a little bit, kind of layering it out, kind of filling it in, piecing it together like a puzzle. All right. Break it off, ease it up. Hey, Pop, how's it going? Alright, so now that I'm finishing this part, like I said, I'm just filling this in, kind of layering it out, filling up the sides, building up the walls. I'm building up my castle here. So I'm going to go ahead and just flatten this out. Alright. Kind of push this, even it out here. Now, depending upon how much cheese you want, will depend on how much room you need in the center. I'm not going to do a whole lot just because I don't need a whole lot of cheese in there. But I'm going to go ahead and leave just enough room because I want just enough cheese in there to really make it count. So I'm going to make a little ditch in here after I've gotten this all set up and squared away, because I don't want any holes or anything like that, because we need all the space we can get here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like. So again, we've got our layer of bacon at the bottom, we've got our meatloaf trench here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some pepper jack cheese, some Tillamook cheese in there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our cheese real quick. Set this off to the side for just a moment. Again, I hope everybody's doing well. Hopefully you're not too warm yet. I know Vegas is getting a little warm right now. We're starting into our warm season, so go Vegas. Okay, so I've got my whole block of cheese here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it into smaller pieces because it's going to have to fit inside of the meatloaf. So I'm just going to take my piece, I just cut off one piece right there, and I'm just going to stuff it in to my meatloaf. Now you can make it big blocks or big chunks or small chunks, however you want to do it. This is going to be solely up to you. This is just how I do it. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and cut here, kind of eyeball it. So now this is going to be my end piece, so I'm just going to cut that down to size to meet here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. Now you can either use more cheese or you can leave it like that. I'm probably going to add maybe just a little bit more cheese to this before I go ahead and seal it up. Say hi, Pam. This is my cousin Pam. Say hi to everybody. So anyway, alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little bit more cheese. And then we'll go ahead and slice that down just a little bit more. So I'm just going to go ahead and stuff that in there again. And I'm going to then set this off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and just cover the top. So I'm going to take the rest of my hamburger meat and I'm just going to go ahead and cover the top. Fill in the rest. Is it warm out there, Pam?
Unfortunately.
I was just telling everybody. I hope they're cool wherever they are, because Vegas, it's already starting to warm up.
Yes, definitely.
So, all right, everybody. So I'm just finishing off the top here. I hope you can see it. So I'm just finishing out. I'm evening it out as much as possible because you want to have a nice even cook all the way through. So now that I've just layered all of that, I've got our cheese in the center. I'm going to get every last bit I can out of here so nothing goes to waste. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make my final layer of bacon. And I'm going to go ahead and just layer it like that. And I kind of fold over the sides just a little bit so that way it doesn't overhang too much. So, and then our sides are actually going to cover up the rest. So then I'll just fold this over like that. Fold it over like that. Now you can braid it. That's way too fancy for me right now. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and rinse my hands. And then you just want to clean off the sides as well. So I'm just going to take a paper towel and I'm just going to clean up the sides just because you don't want a whole lot of grease going all over the place. It's going to be bad enough you got grease from the bacon. So we're just going to take that. So you're going to go ahead and set your oven to 450. Which my oven is already there. I hope he does. Bacon, 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 right? So it's at 450 right now, and I'm going to go ahead and open the oven, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in, and I'm going to let it cook for 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm just going to set that there. I already have one in the oven. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you this. So this is our ground turkey that with just bacon. I didn't fill it with cheese or anything like that, but it's got a mixture of ground turkey and regular bacon. And then that's the one that we just made. So I'm going to go ahead and let that cook in here. And if you want, you can go ahead and set your timer, but watch for 45 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and do my green beans right now. I'm going to turn on my stove. I'm going to put it on a medium-high heat. And there is a tray under it, Dad. So, yeah, if you notice, there's a tray right under there. So I'm going to go ahead and let the oven go ahead, or the stove go ahead and start. I've got 2 bags of frozen green beans that I've already pre-thawed. And I'm going to go ahead and use my minced garlic, and I'm going to use a good portion of my onions that I've already chopped. So what I will start with first is I'm going to start with my minced garlic first. And I'm going to go ahead and get another serving spoon. So I'm going to use about a serving spoon and a half of my minced garlic. So let's go ahead and I'll just move this over here. There we go. Much better. Alright, so we'll go ahead and let our pan warm up, and if you can put your hand over it and it's warm, you should be cooking. So again, remember about a spoon and a half of minced garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and let that start sizzling there for just a moment. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some of my onions that I've already cut, that we previously cut. I'm going to put that in there as well, get that cooking. And you can turn that down just a little bit. The only reason I turn it on medium-high heat is just to get the pan warm enough to get it going. Alright, so this is what we look like right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that cook just a little bit before I put in my onion or my green beans. Okay, so let's do our green beans. So I'm going to just open these bad boys up. Really, there's not much more prep that you need to do for them. I get the fine green beans because I like those the best. But if you get the smaller green beans, the thicker small cut, that's perfectly fine as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix these ones in first before I mix in the others, just because I want to be able to get a good mixture going, check out if I need to add any more onions or if I need to add any more garlic, minced garlic in here. It looks like we're going to be good. So I'm just going to mix this around a little bit, get that situated, and then I'm just going to add in the rest. And this is a great, the levels that I'm using right now are great for meal prep. So this is going to be my meals for the week. Well, what I don't eat tonight anyway. Alright, so I'm just going to mix this around and I'm just going to let that continue to cook. So these will cook down. So you want to turn it down just a little bit, just so it's not completely too high. But you're going to go ahead and stir this around until you get a nice mixture of onions. I'm going to add a little bit more onions to it. And continue to stir very well. So this is what we have. Now, normally when I make green beans, when I boil them, I put in a little bit of bacon or a little bacon fat just to give it a little extra flavor. You could do that. You could make fry bacon, and put that in there with bacon bits. I'm just going to leave it like this for tonight. And look at that, it smells great. And I haven't added any salt, I haven't added any pepper to it yet. I'm just going to go ahead and continue to stir this and mix it around and make sure that everything just kind of, because I want to actually cook these to have a little crisp to them. I don't want a whole lot of crisp, but I need just a little bit. So when we bite into that bacon, we have just the right mixture of crunchy and softness to these green beans, so it's not all crunchy dinner. Alright, so I'm going to let that sit for just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and check back on our meatloaf. So our meatloaf, our turkey meatloaf, is almost finished actually, and it's probably got, let's see, what time is it? So we've got 6:25 Pacific Standard Time, and so it's probably got about another 5 to 10 minutes. So are there any questions? I'm just going to go ahead and clean up a little bit while we finish over here. Pam, you got any questions?
I'm just enjoying it. It smells great.
I love it when
Made
family.
me hungry.
I love it when family stops by for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of pepper and salt, and you can do all of that while it's cooking. The only thing is you just want to make sure you're not adding too much salt, just because you want to maintain a good sodium, low sodium diet, at least for me, and so that helps a little bit. But I just added a little bit of pepper, and I'm just going to move this around so we can get a nice, good mixture going on here. It's all about the mixture. Just a little bit. So, while we wait, we clean up. That's the best part about having something like this done, is you get to clean up before it's actually finished. So, I'm going to sprinkle just a tiny little bit of salt over that, and then we can just kind of start putting things away a little bit. But as you can see, it's getting a little lighter. It's looking really good. Turned up the fire a little bit. All right. All right, guys. So that is going to be pretty much it for this evening's segment. I will post pictures when finished. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thank you.